National Anti-War Coalition. He has been a lifelong political and anti-war activist and worked full-time for the Vietnam-era National Peace Action Coalition. He is an active member of CSEA's Retiree Local 99 and member of the Troy Area Labor Council. Jeff.
Hello, I just want to start by saying something a little bit different. Than the way my comrade and friend Sarah Flounders said it about the Syrian revolution. She talked about the polls and the writing to the Congress people and so forth against any intervention in Syria, and this helped stay the hand of the U.S. government in staying out of Syria. But she said that was totally separate from the anti-war movement. I think you have to look at the anti-war movement in a bigger sense. You know, after the U.S. imperialism was defeated in Vietnam, they coined a phrase. The movement didn't coin a phrase, they coined a phrase. It was called the Vietnam Syndrome. And it meant that the U.S. people did not want to see another Vietnam War. And this helped stay their hand. They tried little things and they did little things and they kept up war and they kept up military intervention and they built their military, but they didn't know if they can really do another Vietnam War until Iraq came along. And they, after 9/11, they were able to use this sentiment to build towards a war. Well, there's another syndrome they don't talk about, and that's the Iraq War syndrome. This was a big failure for U.S. imperialism, and the people of this country did not want to see it again. And the anti-war movement helped bring that sentiment, bring that consciousness along as we brought hundreds of thousands and millions of people into the streets, not just here, but all around the world, every continent of the world. They were talking about still there were two powers in the world, U.S. imperialism on the one side and the people on the other. Those two powers still exist. And to continue this kind of war, which is endemic to our society now. It's always been endemic to capitalism and imperialism. They always had to do war, but it's more so now. It's more so because we have a new kind of globalization and we have a capitalism that's dying, and they have to be able to privatize and use neoliberal policies to stick their hands into the economies of every country to try to bring back more profit to keep up their system. So there will be wars and wars and wars, and there's nothing they can do about it. But we will be in a position as an anti-war movement to take advantage of that. So when they decided they were going to go into war and Kerry and Obama, these liberal Democrats, Kerry was an anti-war person, right? He was from Vietnam Veterans Against the War. When they made these statements, we have to go in there, and they tried to use another false flag incident like these chemical things, which did not happen, which was not done by the Syrian government. They didn't fall for it. They've always used these false flag incidents, whether it was the Gulf of Tonkin incident or whatever it was. But the people didn't fall for it this time. They remembered Iraq. They remembered what was happening, and they see the crisis that's all around them with their hurting their jobs and austerity and the attacks on their communities and everything else, and did not want war on top of that. And the anti-war movement from Vietnam through Iraq through today was all part of that. It was all part of that. And we need to keep an anti-war movement going right now, because when they do decide to go to war with Syria, which they will, or with other countries, there will still be this mass sentiment. There has been no other war that we went into, that we tried to go into, like Syria, which in the beginning, the mass of people in this country were against. They were for the Iraq War in the beginning. They were for the Afghan War in the beginning. They were for the Vietnam War in the beginning. It was called the only consensus war in history in Vietnam, because in the beginning only 8% opposed it. But the next war they're going to go into with a sentiment among the population that says, no to war, we don't want war. And that puts us in a great stead to build a kind of movement that can really stay their hand and really build a revolutionary movement and a revolutionary anti-war movement and an anti-imperialist anti-war movement in this country. That was not my talk. Comrades and friends, I want to congratulate the Workers' World Party on this wonderful conference and bring you greetings from UNAC, the United National Anti-War Coalition. Workers' World and the International Action Center have been important members and leaders of UNAC. We and I have learned a lot from our collaboration. One thing that we learned is the simple idea that when a country is under attack from U.S. imperialism and/or its allies and proxies, it is the elementary duty of the U.S. anti-war movement to build solidarity with those under attack. It does not matter if we agree or not. If we agree or not with the policies of the country under attack, we offer solidarity because this is the best way to defeat U.S. imperialism, and that is the only way we will ever have peace in this world. So I have less than 2 minutes. So I'm not going to read the rest of the speech. But I want to talk to you about a little bit about UNAC and how we have organized. We very consciously took a position that helped us understand what's going on in Syria, helped us understand what's going on in Libya, helped us understand a way to keep a movement together in kind of a united front manner. And that is, we took the position that we are against U.S. imperialist intervention, and we don't have the right, as the U.S. doesn't have the right, to intervene into the affairs of another country. That allowed us to build an anti-war movement and keep people together who have different positions on some of these things. If you're against U.S. imperialism, if you're against these wars, you're with us. And that's the way we kept on going. We started in 2010, and today we are the only coalition really in town. The others don't exist really anymore in any major way. There was another thing we did. We understood that unity and solidarity have an equal sign between them. And so when the UNAC was first formed at a conference in Albany, New York in July of 2010, what we did at the end of that conference was we marched the conference through the streets of Albany to a mosque, and we held a rally there. This is a mosque where the imam and another man were falsely accused of terrorist acts, as they've been accusing hundreds of Muslims all around this country. And we held a rally with them, and other members of this mosque were also attacked. I could go into those stories, but I have now probably 1 minute. Oh no, I have to wrap up. So I will do so. But this helped us build bridges between the Muslim community, and it's the same philosophy we do when we see how this security state has been used to abridge the rights of everybody, to force austerity down our throats, to attack our unions, to attack the entire working class. Stop and frisk, stand your ground, increases on attacks on immigrant rights, on women's rights. We build those bridges because they are all part of the war at home, and the war at home and the war abroad are the same thing. And so that's the way we continue to fight, and that's why we will fight, and that's the way we will continue to build a movement that in the long run will win. Hands off Syria, bring all the troops home now, ground the drones, build an anti-imperialist, anti-war movement. Thank you very much.